It looks like we're live.
Thank you. My name is Tracy Metzger, Chair of the Albany Industrial Development Agency. I'd like to call this meeting to order. As customary, the minutes of our previous meeting were previously distributed. And unless there's any comments or corrections, I'd like a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I think we'll just move straight into unfinished business. The project is 1211 Western Avenue, Property Associates LLC. And if you just want to give us a quick review of the project, we've talked about this project on a number of occasions, but just a quick review, and then we can move forward into after discussion resolutions if necessary.
Tracy, right before we get into that, I just circulated a formal memo to the other board members notifying everybody of my need to recuse on this. I think I've talked about it with people before, but I don't think I sent that memo previously, so I should get put into a meeting room or waiting room.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And if you could put me back into the waiting room, I'm continuing my recusal as well.
Anybody else want to leave? Okay, Andy?
Yes, thank you. So a
We're
quick.
not in the waiting room yet, so hold on, guys.
Oh, wait a
Sorry,
minute,
Bob.
Bob. Are we all set, Tammy?
All set. Sorry, he was farther down on the list than I thought.
No problem.
Thank you.
Andy?
So a quick recap of what has brought us here today. The agency received an application for assistance in January. The application was updated and a revised request was submitted back to the agency in June after extensive conversations with staff and a very extensive third-party review. A public hearing was held in August last month. A response to the comments that were received as a result of that public hearing, both in the public hearing and via written and email submissions. Those comments were posted to the agency website, and they were part of the materials packet and the discussion at the Finance Committee meeting last week. The proposed project includes a construction of an approximate 6-story, 190,000 square foot mixed-use multi-fam commercial retail complex containing approximately 136 apartment units and 1,800 square feet of commercial retail space on the ground floor. There will be a parking garage for approximately 150 vehicles. The property value increase for this project, if it moves forward under its current pretense, is approximately 19 million. The revenue gain to the taxing jurisdictions is approximately 7.6 million over the course of the 18-year requested duration of assistance. We had gone through the matrix scoring. The project had been deemed eligible for assistance through our scoring process. It's a total estimated investment of $35.7 million. Additionally, an employment impact analysis was conducted by CDRPC that outlined the temporary construction impact as well as the permanent operations impact of the project going forward. The project is projected to create 5 permanent full-time equivalent positions and approximately 90 construction jobs.
Thank you, Andy. Any additional discussion or comments before I move forward with the resolutions? Okay, we have 4 resolutions. The first being a resolution concurring in the determination by the City of Albany Planning Board as lead agency for the environmental review of the 1211 Western Avenue Project Associates LLC proposed project. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Susan. A second?
Dominic, I'll second.
Thank you, Dominic. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution passes. I just have to scroll down. Bear with me a little bit here. Okay. Our second resolution is a resolution determining that the proposed 1211 Western Avenue Property Associates LLC project is a commercial project, and B, making certain findings required under the general municipal law. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Susan, a second, please.
Second.
That was Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution passes. Okay, our third resolution authorizing a deviation from the agency's uniform tax exemption policy in connection with the proposed payment in lieu of tax agreement to be entered into by the agency in connection with the proposed project for 1211 Western Avenue Property Associates LLC. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
That was Lee. Do I have a second?
Sure, I'll second it, Dominic.
Thank you, Dominic. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution passes.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
Chair.
Yes,
Prior to you introducing the approving resolution, I would just like to bring to everyone's attention that Exhibit A of the approving resolution, the uniform criteria. This document serves to outline the expected public benefits of the project as well as the community commitments. The majority of the content of this document will also be incorporated into the project benefits agreement. This, again, is an attachment and exhibit to the resolution and has been previously circulated. So I just want to draw everyone's attention to that.
thank you, Andy. Okay, our final resolution relative to this project is a resolution authorizing execution of documents in connection with a leaseback transaction for a project for 1211 Western Avenue Property Associates LLC. That's a bit of a tongue twister. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Thank you, Susan. A second?
Second.
Lee, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution passes. Thank you all. Okay, with that, we will now move on to a new business. The first item would be 760 Broadway LLC. Andy? Oh, let's bring Bob back and Sarah. Do we have them?
I'm back.
Yes.
Bob, I'm not sure if you're talking to us or not, but you're on mute if you were. Okay,
He's
great.
back. Okay.
Okay, we're now looking at 760 Broadway. Andy, do you have any introductory comments here, or Sarah?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd like to start by letting everyone know that the project beneficiary, Mr. Seraph, is on the line. Should there be any questions regarding this? This is an administrative request for an extension of the sales tax exemption letter that has expired. A quick recap of the project: it closed with the agency in April of 2018. It is an approximate $18.5 million investment projected to create approximately 100 construction jobs and 7 full-time equivalent positions. The project itself, which is well underway, as anyone can see who's driven past it on Broadway, will create 88 market rate apartments and approximately 90 off-street parking spots. And the structure is approximately 125,000 square feet. Due to delays on site, the project beneficiary, as we noted, is requesting an extension of the sales tax letter for 12 months.
When is the expected completion, David?
I would say probably early 2021, Q1 2021. That's what we're shooting for. So I think the 12 months probably passes. The 12-month request passes the expected completion by a little bit. I just thought it might be cleaner and easier if we did an extra 12 months because I think it expires. I think it expired in May. Andy, correct me if I'm mistaken.
That's correct.
Oh, fair enough. Looking forward to seeing that done. I'm sure you are as well. It's a
I certainly
good-looking
am.
project. Yeah.
Thanks.
These were COVID related and supply chain related delays.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, with that, I'll move forward with a resolution authorizing the execution by the City of Albany Industrial Development Agency of a certain modification agreement in connection with the 760 Broadway LLC project. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Susan, a
second it.
second?
Dominic.
That's Dominic.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution passes. Thank you, David.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Luck.
Sure. Okay. Let me just get down to our next. The next project is 915 Broadway LLC with the address of 745 Broadway. We just need a brief introduction. I think, Andy, it's just a public hearing.
Yes, thank you. This project was discussed at length previously and at the last Finance Committee meeting. It involves the construction of an 80-unit market rate apartment complex at 745 Broadway in the city of Albany. It's approximately a $22.7 million investment expected to create one full-time position and approximately 140 construction jobs.
Thank you, Andy. So we have a resolution authorizing the Chief Executive Officer of the City of Albany Industrial Development Agency to hold a public hearing regarding the proposed project to be undertaken for the benefit of Broadway 915 LLC. Do I have a motion?
So
I'll
moved.
move it. Or second.
Susan Darius was the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution passes. Our next and final piece of new business would be Laughlin Dawn LLC. And Andy, just a few words of introduction, please.
Sure. I'd like to note that Spencer Jones is here as a representative of the project beneficiary. The request at hand involves the extension of the phase 1 only pilot, which closed with the agency in March of 2019 by 1 year. This request is coming in due to COVID-19 related delays in construction. And again, we discussed this at the Finance Committee meeting previously. The reason for holding the public hearing is that the result of the request would be an increase in the abatements of approximately $127,000. Thus, we were ultimately prudent in holding a public hearing for this request at hand, which occurred last week.
Thank you, Andy. With that, I'll move forward with the resolution approving the deviation from the agency's uniform tax exemption policy with respect to the Laughlin Dawn LLC project. Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll move it. Dominic.
Dominic, a second, please.
I can second.
Lee, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution passes. Okay, with that, I'd like to just move back up to the chief financial report, please, Mark.
Thanks, Chair. So for the month of October, we did receive 2 administrative fees totaling $17,000. The other revenue for the month was the interest income received. The expenses there were approved by the board in the 2020 budget or approved during the year. So we have moved some projections a little bit later on in the year, but we're still projecting one closing in December. So with that, we are projecting ending cash balance at the IDA for 12/31 to be almost $3 million.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions there? Okay, great. All right, I guess at this time, we'll just move forward with other business. We have the agency update, the Small Business Adaptation Program.
Sure, I've got a few things under agency update. I'll start with the Small Business Adaptation Program. Thanks, Chair. The extensive sort of presentation that we walked through at Finance last week, I'm appreciative of everyone's time going through the documents that we'll be looking at reviewing at the October meetings. Again, we do expect to bring the applications for the Small Business Adaptation Program for the IDA portion of that program to Finance in October. with the goal of having a package of approvals ready for the October board meeting going forward. I don't really have much of an update this week. We want to make sure that it remains on the agenda as a discussion point for the group. The demand does remain strong. As we had reported last week, we do have a number of completed application questionnaires. We're waiting on final documents, and the deadline for that program is 4 p.m. tomorrow. And so we expect to have, as always, sort of a rush at deadline for the program. Staff will be immediately moving into review mode and getting those packages ready for the board. We are asking for Hodgson Russ's assistance in taking on a redaction project. As you all know, the legislation requires each of those applications to be posted to the City of Albany website. So all of the information that we're bringing in, we do need to put a substantial amount of that information up publicly on the website, and the applications as they are submitted will contain a significant amount of sensitive information that will need to be redacted out. So I've spoken with Joe Scott about how Hodgson Russ can help us take on that legal effort. They are fully equipped and capable, and I'm excited to report that they're going to be able to hit the ground running, and it won't add to the timeline that we've proposed at all. But there will be additional Hodgson Russ support on that redaction front.
Sarah,
Thank
are
you,
the
Sarah.
applicants aware that even with the redactions that they will be, their applications will be posted on in public?
Yeah, that is a great point, and we have made sure to highlight that because it is really atypical for grant applications to be public anywhere. So this was a little bit of a strange quirk in the legislation, very specific to this program. We made sure that it is up on the website. It is in the program guidelines. It is in the application in several areas. It was on the webinar. We're making it as clear as possible, and we are going to be as liberal as we can with redaction, so that even if something is borderline sensitive, we'll have it on file for auditors to be able to see. We'll have it on file for the board to be able to see as necessary. But in terms of sort of general public consumption, we're going to take a very I guess I should say conservative approach to making sure that we're redacting as much information as we possibly can that would put businesses in an uncomfortable situation if noticed publicly.
I assume that does not include pre-applications.
It will include pre-applications because they are part of the application package. So we'll go through. I don't anticipate that the supplemental information provided, the business financials, for instance, obviously not the copy of a driver's license. Those things will certainly not be found in the public posting of the application, but the general application, the amount being requested, those pieces will need to be per the legislation. We'll also be taking out any of the information provided for the CDBG specific portion of the application, as that's not relevant to the CADA source. So, we're taking a very hard look at that. We want to protect people's information as much as possible and still maintain the spirit of the legislation that was passed.
Great.
And Sarah, the date that we're aiming for to get the packages to the board for review?
We're aiming October 7th to get you the summary sheet with the applications, as well as a boiled down spreadsheet of sort of what you're looking at for those. And again, we'll try to keep you in the loop as much as possible once we have a solid understanding of the universe of applications tomorrow at 4. As we start to process those, we'll try to get that information around to you quickly. So you can understand sort of the scope that we're going to be looking at in October, as well as the breakdown of DBE applicants, applicants within neighborhood strategy areas, just some of those high level statistics that we had talked through previously when the pre-applications had come in.
Great, thank you.
I do have a couple of other things under agency update. And Tracy, I don't know if you wanted to handle the resignation that we just had, or if you want me to jump into that, but I did want to acknowledge that today.
Oh no, I certainly plan to. We have the resignation of Dominic from our board effective at the end of this year. All of us have experienced a number of years with Dominic on the board, and I think you all share with me that he will be missed. His opinion, his thoughtful review of all of the materials and projects, and his concern for his constituents and community certainly does not go unnoticed. So thank you very much, Dominic, for being with us all these years.
Oh, thank you. It's been a good experience. That'll let you know. It's very good.
I
So we're
miss
not
you
saying
already.
goodbye yet. It's a few more months away,
Yes,
but-
yes, few more months away. Yes.
And
Absolutely. So
Sarah and
there-
I are joining the interviews tonight of board members, future board members potentially. And we'll share with you those results.
It is expected that the Common Council may select both replacements at the meeting tonight, but the second replacement obviously would start effective January 1, because we are fortunate enough to have Dominic sticking around a couple more months with us. So there'll be much more to be said about that, I'm sure. But in terms of making sure that we're notifying publicly, we've got it out there.
We're not letting him do like a lame duck here, are we? Or I mean,
If you know anything about Dominic, there will be no lame duck. He's going to be right in there, I'm sure, Dominic, on all of these. We're excited about continued active participation, and like I said, there'll be much more said on the topic going forward, for that for sure. So I'd move from that into just a couple of other quick updates before we get into the compliance update. I did want to provide just a very brief update on the pre-apprenticeship program that we had talked through previously. That group with the Building Trades Council has met again this week to move the idea of that program forward. And we are talking, as we've discussed before, about ways for the Industrial Development Agency to participate even financially in the program. And we do expect that there's going to be a way for us to do that to support local City of Albany residents finding a pathway to a career through that pre-apprenticeship program. So we're working out the numbers now. Tom is taking that on and working with both the Trades Council as well as the Port of Albany on really what that could look like, what the participation of the IDA could look like. We're also helping with site selection for a potential location for that training program. So very exciting news across the board on that. I would expect that we might be able to bring something back even to the October Finance and Board meeting related to next year's budget, potentially as an amendment to the draft budget that you all saw last week related to that. But we'll talk more about that in the interim and come back. It's all very exciting progress on that front. And then, finally, just a quick note on the census. I have sort of promised to plug this at every turn that I possibly can. We've got about a week and a half, 2 weeks left to the census closure for this year, and we are still undercounting in Albany in a handful of census tracts throughout the city. Why that matters to us as the Industrial Development Agency is that the census count does relate directly into a number of funding programs, both at the local municipal level, but also at the school district level, and grant programs that could be out there as well. So it's imperative that we have every person that we can be counted in the City of Albany. So as you're working with your sort of day jobs and interactions daily, please get the word out there. We've been doing what we can through social media as well on the Capitalize Albany side, and supporting every effort possible to get as many folks counted, so that our job as the IDA is easier because we won't be up against as steep a hill on the tax burden side for that. So just a quick plug for the census. If anybody's got creative ideas, the city is looking for them, and happy to entertain any additional way to get the word out and get the count up.
Thank
So
you,
on that,
Sarah.
I'd be able to move to compliance update, and this can be very, very quick. You were provided the 2019 annual report on our activities. Every year we do go above and beyond the Paris report to put together the annual report document. Andy took that on basically 100% this year. So thank you for your efforts, Andy, getting that updated in quick form. We did want to get that updated and together in advance of tonight's Common Council meeting for the board replacements for a couple of reasons. One, to make sure that they had a baseline, the most recent baseline understanding of our operations as they go into those interviews, but also to try to create some efficiency so that if they had questions related to the annual report, we could handle those tonight at the Planning, Economic Development and Land Use Committee meeting, as opposed to having duplicate meetings. So we'll see how that request fares. Some highlights from the report. As you all are very aware, you attended and participated heavily in 41 meetings in 2019. Those deliberations produced 7 projects that brought $156 million plus of investment into the city of Albany. And that brings us to more than $377 million in the last 3 years of investment spurred by the deliberations of the Industrial Development Agency on those critical projects that help advance our neighborhood and economic development strategies. Those projects, the investment, that's direct investment, that doesn't count the sort of spin-off investment that we track as well. But we do report on the $13 million of net new revenue to the taxing jurisdictions over the life of the pilots for those 7 projects that will be brought into municipal, county, and school district coffers. Those projects also represent nearly 800 construction jobs and 75 permanent jobs as well, which is exciting given that the bulk of those projects are mixed use or multifamily residential projects, and they are still modest but job creators as well in the city of Albany, on top of all of the other revitalization aspects that they bring in. So you've got a copy of that full report. It's got quite a bit more detail in there about our operations for 2019, but it's submitted for your review as well as for the Common Council's review.
Thank you, Sarah. Much to be proud of.
Absolutely.
For sure. Okay, any questions, comments from the board before we adjourn? Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Dominic?
Okay, I'll make it. Okay.
All right, we'll let Dominic make that motion. How about
All right.
Susan, you'll second that?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We are adjourned. Take care, everybody.
everybody.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.